Welcome to my Inspired Insights page. This is the little blurb I was talking about that connects to larger concepts, my interpretation. These are just images that inspire me. This is a march I was at in Madrid, some animals I met at sanctuaries. These are the owners and people that run a sanctuary in Spain. They're just incredible people doing it all on their own in the middle of nowhere. They don't even speak Spanish. They're from England. So it's pretty incredible. This is my mom's yoga studio on her first day opening it. Definitely inspired by her determination to do her thing and to spread compassion through yoga and art and all other these other things that she does. These cupcakes inspire me for a twofold reason. One, because they're from Nelson, and my club, DU Vegan and Vegetarian Society, works to get better vegan options on campus, and that's really not just for people that want to eat vegan or people that are vegan, but for everyone, because it's better for you and better for animals and better for the planet. And also just because it inspires me because I love baking and cute, yummy things. My cats, these are some sunglasses that I painted. It's a hobby of mine. So just sort of, creativity and finding inspiration and all sorts of things. This is with some girls that I met in Spain who I got really close with, and this is sort of a traditional ceremony type thing that came from my childhood, and it was just really great to be able to share with them and show that we're all connected. And I think it's really important to remember that we are all connected, and that is something that inspires me to be a better person and to care about what I do and what other people do. I could go on, but I'm trying to keep this short. Culture and food, my first post. I could have written my entire e-portfolio on different aspects of food and culture and other various things, and I almost wish I had. I guess that would have been kind of cool. But anyways, this comes from one of my discussion posts. I really did draw on some of my discussion posts a lot because even though this is supposed to sort of be the culmination of this journey we went on from the beginning to the end, and I think it does sort of reflect that a little bit because for me, each week was a little like isolated, and because of the craziness of a 10-week session. And so from Monday through Friday was sort of my progression, and then obviously like things tied together with new readings, and I'm also was taking an ethics communication class, so things were developing along the way. But a lot of times I went through this huge internal struggle, and I was talking to people and looking at other things and rereading during that week and up to the point where I was writing my discussion posts. So my discussion posts really kind of were the end of this sort of big, transformation or finale of my interpretation. And so I tweaked and I added and I changed, but a lot of it was sort of where I ended up. And yeah, I mean, I incorporated some outside sources that I found that were really cool, and a lot of media because I I just thought they were powerful images. My next post is Culture and Education, the Duncan Andrade week. His video was really powerful for me. Education is really important to me. I have some very, very strong opinions on it, and it was really interesting because I was homeschooled. I also went to private school for a couple years and went to public high school for a couple years, so I have like all these little tastes of different forms of education, and that have really given me a good perspective on different forms of education and how people learn. And it's been really interesting to sort of reflect on those opinions I already held through a lens of, intercultural communication, and after having gone through the majority of this class and really seeing sort of the connections and also some oversights I guess I used to have about homeschooling. Yeah, well, one I just really love. There's so many brilliant quotes from this guy that I was super happy to incorporate. This is a picture of some of my sort of homeschooling group that we went out on a hike, I guess. This is Constitution Marsh. This is me, my brother, neighbors and stuff. And yeah, so what was really interesting for me going back and trying to incorporate my personal story into this was that I had never really thought about how much of a privilege it is to be able to homeschool. And it's not to say that you can't, that there isn't a variety of people that homeschool and people that homeschool on a budget for sure. But I mean, even just looking at this picture, like it's very, very predominantly white. And I looked at some outside sources that, give some statistics on that, and it's really interesting, but it's still something that I hope to promote and hope becomes more of a possibility for more people. But it was very interesting to think about the privilege and also how, I talk about using the world as your classroom, and I think that's really important to remember that there's so many lessons right outside of our doors, and that's really any door, but it's also really critical to remember that not everybody has this type of environment outside of their door. And I also lived really close to the city, so I had that at my fingertips. And so not everybody has this, and not that you can't learn from other types of environments, but as we've discussed, some of them are less productive or even unsafe. And yeah, I think this is a really interesting transition into food as solution, because this guy, Ron Finley, has an amazing TED Talk that inspired this this post, and bringing sort of those two things together. I mean, bringing education into food and bringing food and education in the way that I love it and think about it and want it to be for everybody, and bringing it into these sorts of, underprivileged neighborhoods and neighborhoods that look like there's nothing there, they're like wastelands, but they're not. Like, you can still grow food and beautiful plants in these spaces, and it's really great that he's, incorporating also, what we've talked about with helping people that are marginalized, are often in places like food deserts where it's hard to get good fresh food, and giving them a solution. I think it's really awesome. And just incorporating some local stuff, and yeah, this is really cool to explore. The intersectionality of food is my last post. It's not even really a post. I just wrote this huge paper on it last quarter for a class and thought it was relevant, but it sort of, the paper speaks for itself, so I didn't really want to expand upon it, but it definitely is very related to our class and is really interesting if you guys want to take a look at it. And then just more pictures that inspire me. Okay, time to move on.